Welcome to the Metaphysical Journey. Happy November 2nd, All Souls Day, also the last day of Dia de los Muertos, which is celebrated traditionally in Mexico and in different areas of the Southwest. I've really enjoyed reading from this deck, which is the Dia de los Muertos Oracle by Kelly Sullivan Walden. And I will look forward to bringing it out again next year to bring more messages from our ancestors. They've delivered some very nice advice for us, ways for us to live a happier life, to not grieve as much for their passing, and most importantly, to know that there are many ways that we can connect with them. So I hope that they've been helpful to you and maybe helped you feel a little less alone, because they truly are always around us. In this reading, the very first card is Alma, which means soul. Now, it can also be interpreted in some context as kind of the heart of something, the spirit of something, or the lifeblood of something. And this says connect with your eternal aliveness. The ancestors want you to know that the better you take care of your soul, the more you can connect with them and they can connect with you. Always take the time to feed your soul with the things that bring you to life, make your hair stand up on the back of your neck, and also things that can shine the light on relationships that you enjoy with other people, because those feed your soul. They bring that life back into you, and that's important. Your ancestors may have passed on and don't have life in the physical sense the way that you would wish that they would have, but they have very rich, abundant life on the other side. And they want to make sure that on this side, you are living your life to the best of your ability, and feeding your soul is a great way to do that. They also ask that don't allow yourself as much as possible to believe that you are alone just because they're no longer with you, because they are there always around when you call them and connect with them. They will be there, and they do keep watch on what is going on. They ask that you, as far as keeping watch, that you start to train your eyes to kind of look at things a little more deeply, and that there is a way that you can start to see them a little more clearly, and that is in your mind's eye. Now, I did the reading, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and there was the photograph card. And in that one, it said that think of them like a photograph. So in your mind, imagine a scene with them, not necessarily a scene that maybe you experience with them, but just create one in your mind of doing something with them, having them there around you, and you're enjoying life, whatever, and that kind of mentally take a snapshot of that. And then keep making it bigger and bigger in your mind until you can step in there and you're fully enjoying the experience. You can do the same thing with your mind's eye, is that imagine seeing them in a certain place. And when you do that, you connect with them and they are there with you as well in spirit. So that's one way to stay connected. And they ask that you not fear death, but that you respect life, especially your own. Respect it and take care of it and feed it what you need to keep it vibrant and exciting, because that's what they want for you. They ask that you remember them today, on this day, and know that they are always thinking of you. The next card is cohetes. And cohetes, that means fireworks. And this says, make a joyful noise. Now, this card and the next one are going to go really well together, because this talks about grief. So we'll wait for the third card, but on this one, let me say that they're asking that you let your grief move through you like a Roman candle, so that when a Roman candle, it's all kind of compressed in that tube, and you light it and it just shoots off sparks of these little balls of light. And that's how you should do with your emotions. Don't keep them bottled up. When you need to release them, do that. That's very healthy for you. It's better to explode rather than implode, because that doesn't help. So give yourself permission to feel your deepest emotions and also release your sadness. Don't bottle it up. Shoot it off like a bottle rocket. They say that when the ancestors say that when you hear fireworks in the sky, know that they are trying to break through the dimensions to give you permission to live, dance, be, do, and create all that inspires you. A little bit of history on fireworks in Mexico. One source that I did some research on this, I did on the next card as well, but one source says that a year after Hernan Cortez arrived in Mexico, which was in 1519, his soldiers discovered sulfur in a crater of the Popocatépetl volcano, and that's right outside of Mexico City. And they used that sulfur to make gunpowder for their muskets. Well, that was not a good thing for the Aztecs because many of them died as a result of those muskets. But one thing that did come out of that is the same powder was used to make fireworks, and that has carried forward. I can say that in Mexico, for every major celebration and some even minor celebrations, there will always be fireworks. It's beautiful. So they've put that gunpowder to good use for something beautiful. So you will always have fireworks in Mexico. You can usually always count on that. The next card is, this one's kind of scary, actually. If we're going to end this year with a ghost story, this is the best one to have. And this is La Llorona, the crying woman or the wailer. And I'm going to take a quote out of the book on this one that says, "The quickest route from hell to heaven is to swim across the lake of your grief." So grief, that's the theme on this one. Now, I saw the Harry Potter movie that had Moaning Myrtle before before I read the book, actually, before I ever heard the story of La Llorona. So now I put those two together. Moaning Myrtle was just creepy. Imagine going into a restroom and you have this ghost flying around that moans all the time. I mean, how awful is that? But La Llorona, when I moved to El Paso in 2004, the administrative assistant in the office where I worked, I was talking with her, and I'd seen these bumper stickers that said, "Have you seen La Llorona?" And I think it was advertising a play that they were having, but I asked, "What is La Llorona? I don't know what that is. What should I be looking for?" And she said, Miguel, let me tell you a story. And man, she told me a story. It scared me. But the story is that La Llorona is a Mexican ghost, and she's kind of out for vengeance. Now, it's said that she wanders around riverbanks, and areas of water, and she's crying out looking for her children. Now, that in itself is kind of scary. You can imagine, and somewhere after midnight, you're out there in the dark or in the woods, and you hear a woman saying, "Ay, mis hijos." That is a creep fest in itself. Now, when she told me this story, I moved there. I had bought my first house by myself, and I didn't have my Rottweiler with me. I had a huge 130-pound Rottweiler, and it was staying with my parents until I got everything in the house set up, and then they were going to bring her out to me. So I was in the house alone. And it was a historic neighborhood, so that is mildly creepy in itself sometimes. But it was quiet. I didn't know all the noises, and I was in there by myself, and I would hear every so often this noise, and I didn't know what it was, this weird noise. And it scared me. I thought, La Llorona, I don't know why, but I would think that the story was in my head. And I think the administrative assistant, she knew what she was doing. It's like, let's freak out the widow here. Let's just creep him out. And she did. Well, this went on for a few nights. I didn't sleep well at all. And I finally started to recognize a pattern. It was about every 45 minutes, I would hear this noise. So this went on all night. And I couldn't sleep. I'd just get to sleep, and then that noise would happen. I'd wake up. Well, I learned that it was the new refrigerator making ice. It was a different sound than the refrigerator that my parents had. So I didn't recognize the sound. So anyway, it was the ice maker. It wasn't La Llorona, but it still creeped me out. But so she wanders around crying for her children. And why is she doing that? Now, there's different versions of the story, but I'm going to share kind of the most common one. But it said she's crying because she drowned her two sons. She drowned them. And she realized what she had done. And so she drowned herself. And she didn't get into the afterlife. So she was punished to purgatory. So she wanders around on the earth looking for her children because she feels so horrible about what's done. She lives in constant grief. Now, there's many, as I said, there are many different versions of this. And the most common one is that she was an indigenous woman that fell in love with a very wealthy Spaniard. They married, they had two sons. And everything was going great, but then he started spending more time away from home. On one of the trips home, he brought another woman with him, and he completely rejected and got rid of the wife. She was so enraged with jealousy and anger that she murdered their children, her two sons. And that's why she wanders around riversides, other areas of water, calling out to them, wanting to know where they are because she misses them and she feels so bad. Now, that is a really tragic story. But the story goes even beyond Mexico, even beyond that period of time in Mexico. It goes way back, and there are common stories of a crying woman throughout Central and South America as well. Now, one of the earliest references to a crying woman takes place with the Aztecs, and it shows up in a codex, the Florentine Codex in 1519. Now, the codex is the Aztecs in the way that they wrote their stories. It's these beautiful little images, and they each tell a story. And so it's kind of like hieroglyphs in a way. But this codex is one of the ones survived. And the codex, when it's translated, this is what it reads. It says the sixth omen. So she was kind of a harbinger here. The sixth omen was that many times a woman would be heard going along, weeping and shouting. She cried out loudly at night, saying, "Oh, my children, we are about to go forever." Well, there's even more to that. So that was 1519, but many say that that is a historical account of what happened prior to that in 1509, when the crying woman appeared in Tenochtitlan. And Tenochtitlan was the Aztec name for what is now known as Mexico City, the very central part that's built on the ancient lake of Texcoco, I believe is what that one is. So she appeared crying out those words. And the people didn't listen, because what happened later was when the Spanish invaded, they killed a lot of people and a lot of children died. So many say that had the residents of Tenochtitlan listened to La Llorona, they may have spared some of their lives. So that's a really scary story. But La Llorona today is used much like the boogeyman is when I was growing up in our area. And the boogeyman is, they say, oh, don't go out at night because the boogeyman's going to get you. And the parents tell the kids that to keep them scared and inside. Well, there are parents in Mexico and in different places in Central or South America where they use a similar thing, saying, don't go out at night and stay away from the water's edge, because La Llorona might get you. So it's scary. Perhaps if La Llorona would have learned to release her grief, she might not have made that mistake. The message on this card from the ancestors, because there is a message, is don't be afraid to experience your feelings and allow them to release. Accessing your deep grief, despair, anger, and rage, it won't swallow you. So don't fear that. Your emotions have a beginning, they do have a middle in the cycle, and they also have an end once you're able to release them. And that's what you should work toward. And they offer suggestions on how to do this. Find a quiet place where you won't be bothered or hauled off to an insane asylum for what you're going to do, but find a quiet place where you can cry, scream, wail, bark, howl at the moon, crank up the music, beat on drums or whatever else you want to beat on, and also break things, but responsibly. Of course, you want to be careful. Don't cut yourself. Just do all that, whatever it takes to get it out. You know what it will take. Just get those emotions out there, release them as painful, noisy as it needs to be, because that will help you the most. I want to make a plug right here for a very underutilized thing. It's only thought of for parties, but this is the best therapy you can ever get, and that is a piñata. Piñatas. They sell them all over the place. Walmart even sells them, I think, in Arkansas. So if we have them in Arkansas, they have them everywhere else too. But piñatas, they are very therapeutic. Think about this. You've had a really bad day. Everything's going really bad. It's just been crap. And you don't, you can come home and kick the dog, but that's not helpful. But imagine if you could come home and hang up a piñata, put good stuff in it that you will actually like, and then beat the hell out of it with a stick. Just wail away on that thing and get all your frustration out and just let it go. That is therapy right there. And that's a message from your ancestors with help from me. But that will make a huge difference. I mean, you'll go through some situations where it may be a 3 piñata night. It's better than a 3 dog night because it's so cold you need to stay warm. But a 3 piñata night, now you can have a lot of healing right there. Maybe follow it up with Jello shots or something. Who knows? Whatever it takes. But learn from La Llorona and don't be one. Let those feelings go, especially the ones that you may be holding from your loved ones that have passed and you just haven't allowed yourself to grieve. It's time to do that. That's one of the fastest ways to connect with them, is allow them to leave in love, release all of that, because they're there waiting to reconnect with you. Never doubt that. I hope you've enjoyed these readings with Dia de los Muertos. I certainly have. I hope you have a great day. Happy Souls Day. Happy Dia de los Muertos. Have a great day. And thank you so much for following me on the metaphysical journey. Good night.